So this is part 1 of What If Kamen Rider Eternal was in Senki's Eshu Symphogear. So let's start. Oh yeah, like and subscribe if you want to or not. It was a calm and peaceful day in Japan as everyone was enjoying their time. Some were tourists who were exploring the wonders of the country while others enjoyed the sights of Japan, even the architecture. It was a very busy day, along with an exciting one for several people. Wow! It looks so awesome! The young teen gazed at Fuji. Easy, son. An older male chuckled upon seeing his son's eagerness, the adult smiling softly at the young teen. Don't want to hurt yourself before we show you your surprise now. Do we? Sorry, Dad. He apologized, keeping himself away from the railing. Now, Enrique, no need to apologize. An older feminine voice called out, as she walked over, just make sure you're careful, alright? Okay, he nodded. The young teen witnessed the wind brushing through the air, seeing the pink petals flying with the wind. One landed on his nose, causing his nose to twitch before sneezing. He was still trying to adjust since they were in Japan for the past few days for vacation. The parents chuckled softly, before rustling his hair playfully, making him move away to prevent further embarrassment from his parents. They made it to a few shops, stores, and places that made his imagination and mind blow out of proportion before they began to make their way someplace. Where are we going, Mom, Dad? He asked. Just close your eyes and open them once we tell you to. His father said. Trust us, it'll be worth it. His mother added on. Okay, he closed his eyes as he walked with the guide of his parents who smiled. They continued to lead him until they stopped, and as he opened his eyes as he glanced upon a large auditorium, filled with cries and cheers along with a large poster of two beautiful girls with their titles below, Zwei Wings. Zwei Wings! He gasped in surprise before looking at his parents. The concert for Zwei Wings. Happy birthday, Enrique! They smiled at him. He beamed happily, his eyes glistening with excitement. You guys are the best. He hugged the two. That's not all. His mother giggled, reaching in her purse before pulling out a very special backstage pass, along with the only ticket to allow him to be sung directly by the Zwei Wings on stage during their finale. He gasped in awe before he quickly got hold of it. Thank you. He had always wanted to witness their music in person. Well, we did say we'll treat you to your best birthday. And we're giving you our word. His father smirked, just make sure you'll try to bring one of them home with you. I'm sure one of them would want to be hooked on you. He teased the teen. It's not like that. Oh? Didn't one of your friends say that you wanted to start singing because of them? Especially the redhead? His father chuckled. She might give you a nice kiss. He blushed at the thought. Sure, the two idols were beautiful, but it wasn't for that reason. They inspired him to sing. Walking ahead while his parents followed him, the young teen was in awe of the design they set up for the concert. As they walk, he eventually reaches the backstage area, waving to his parents as they waved back. Security allowed him in after he showed his pass before he made his way into the backstage, looking at everything they had here. HM? And who might you be? A voice called out, making him jump in surprise. Easy, Tsubasa. He must be the one who won the special raffle. Another voice added on with a giggle. The raven-haired teen's body stiffened, clearly nervous to talk to the two individuals he saw. Hello. He waved. The individuals were two beautiful girls, Zwei Wings themselves. Tsubasa, who was more sleek, with a blue angel outfit on with her long blue hair tied into a side ponytail, and Kanade, who was more slim with a red angel outfit on and her long flaming red hair. Kanade walked over to Enrique before smiling. So, you must be the special birthday boy who was able to get the only backstage pass, she complimented. Why yeah. He nodded sheepishly. I turned 15 today. Congrats! I hope you enjoy the concert, as well as our finale with you on stage. She winked at him. He slowly nodded, still trying to stop the nervousness from meeting the two people who gave him inspiration. Maybe we could hang out even after it? Would you like that? Kanade offered. And no. I mean, why yes. I mean. He stammered nervously. He was making a bad first impression on the two, much to his embarrassment. Hey, relax. Tsubasa said, this is your treat. Don't be nervous, alright? She's right. Plus you get to hang out with the hottest girls around. Kanade smirked softly. So, relax in the concert. Alright. The two girls went to the stage to prepare for their performance while the young teen began to watch as the stage went dark before small lights were showing up on the stage. Music began to play as Enrique noticed feathers slowly falling from the ceiling, and a few moments later, the two idols descended from the runway. The boy beamed as he began to witness the wonders of the two idols. It was so amazing to witness it in person, the excitement in him finally showing as he was cheering in delight. It really was wonderful to see the event in person. The idols continued their song as they soon began to dance as if they were flying, dancing around the stage in such grace and flow that it looked like they were flying to their notes. He continued to cheer as the idols both glanced back before they smiled as they now seemed to sing to him. He was in awe upon their angelic voices in the song. It was mesmerizing to him. It was one of the reasons why he enjoyed listening to their songs. When they finished their song, the crowd cheered for the two while Enrique did the same. Just then, more music began to play, showing they were getting ready for another song. We're not done yet, folks. Kanade said to the crowd before she and Tsubasa began their next song. Just as the crowd was about to cheer, an explosion rang out. The sound of cheering was replaced with screams as people were looking up at the open ceiling, seeing what people have feared for the past 13 years. The monsters were gelatinous beings, different shapes, size, and type. They were noise. In moments, the noise jumped from where they were, landing in the crowd. As soon as they touched one person, they dissolved into the noise's body, and now the panic started to set in as the people in the audience rushed off, trying to get away, but those close to the noise died quickly. The young teen was in fear now, his excitement no longer present. He needed to find his parents. He has to. A scream is heard nearby as the teen turns his head to see a few of the stagehands were soon killed by a noise that came out of nowhere and started to erase what life was there, as it made its way towards Enrique. The sight horrified him greatly, his fear overwhelming him greatly as he stumbled until he fell onto the ground. Before it could, a lance cuts through it like it was nothing, causing him to look back to see the redhead wearing some sort of suit with a headset that looked like bunny ears. Hey, you okay? She asked, holding her hand out to him. Why yeah. He nodded hesitantly before realization dawned on him. I have to find my parents. He frantically ran as the girl called out to him, but it was muted from his ears, his focus on his parents. Wait! Kanade called out, only to deal with another noise that came into view. Enrique continued to run as he made it outside, only to see ashes of people that the noise left behind. He gulped with fear as he continued on, only hearing the screams and cries of people call out as he continued to run. Enrique! Across the river was his parents, waving to him with worry, but relief. Mom! Dad! He cried out. Stay there! We're coming to you! His father called out. Enrique was relieved. But only for a moment as a large noise started to loom over them. Mom! Dad! Behind you! He shouted at them. His parents only turned around, before quickly being gripped by the noise. They screamed in pain as they looked to their son, only for a second before they too were dissolved by the noise, only leaving a necklace his mother had that showed all three of them together. They were gone. His eyes were filled with horror and his body trembled in terror at the sight. And no. He slowly fell to his knees, his eyes widened in horror to what he witnessed. No! Suddenly he heard someone singing a tune. It almost sounded sad. Just then a bright light rose from the stadium before it spreads around the area, destroying all the noise in the vicinity. When all the noise were gone from that song he heard, everything was left empty as the young teen cried in his hiding spot. The young teen cried in sorrow, hugging his legs as everything was taken from him. Just why did it have to happen to him? He heard gurgling, making him raise his head to see a few noise approaching him. He stumbled in fright as the monsters rushed to him. He cried in fright until a few gunshots pierced through their gelatinous hide. The noise exploded into ashes, revealing who saved him. The person who was staring at him was clearly a woman by the looks of it. But the scary thing was the mask she wore. While her dark brown hair reached past her shoulders, the white mask made of bandages and dark glasses hid her face. She was also wearing a black hat along with a black trench coat. In her hand was a gun, but its design was clearly different than an average pistol. It was slightly bulky, but it looked like it could pack a punch. He crawled back in fright, but the masked woman approached him further until he was cornered. He was scared out of his mind, but the woman knelt down and cupped his cheek, rubbing away the tears he had. Almost like a mother would do for their crying child. Who are you?" he asked. He received no response from the mysterious woman, only for her to stare at him intensely before standing up. "Come with me." She extended her hand to him. The young teen sniffles, his eyes were empty, but the way she spoke was almost motherly. He was hesitant at first, but he slowly reached his hand out to her as she held his hand with gentleness and care. She gently pulls him up and helps him walk. Where are we going?" he asked nervously. "Home. Home," he repeated. "I will be taking care of you from now on," she assured. "You won't be alone." He stared at the woman before gripping his own hand tightly, not willing to let go. Like a lost baby bird. She didn't just save his life, but she was going to take care of him. His parents were gone. He had nowhere else to go to, but the woman was willing to take him in. He felt her gloved hand gently patting his head before she leads him out of the concert, away from the nightmare that will haunt him for the years to come. Kamen Rider Eternal, Song of Eternity. Chapter 1, Eternal. 2 years later. The sound of a guitar was heard throughout the park as some people stayed to listen to the peaceful and calm tune that was playing. The person who was playing the guitar was sitting by the fountain, strumming his guitar as his eyes were closed. He was even singing through the rhythm. The person who was singing while playing the guitar was a young man who looks to be 17 years old with short yet messy and spiked hair. He was wearing a black shirt and dark blue pants. Around his neck was a necklace he kept since that day, while in his hands was a guitar that he was playing. The same young man from 2 years ago. Several people were recording him, surprised about his talent, along with a few girls in the crowd, amazed and in awe. They were sighing happily and almost love-struck from the tune as the crowd remained quiet to let the song finish. When he strummed the final tune, he sang the last words before stopping, thus ending the song. The crowd clapped and cheered, but mostly the girls who came to watch and listen, each one praising about his talent and more, as some gave him some loose money and change, thinking he was a street performer who wanted a bit more cash before walking away. After a moment of relaxation and silence, the teen exhaled out softly and placed his guitar back in the case before closing it. It has been 2 years since that day. While news spread about a teenage girl surviving the attack 2 years ago, they don't realize that he was also there and survived. But it was also the day he lost his parents. It was so painful for him, it brought emptiness into his heart. It practically changed him. Even then, someone helped him. That person was the woman, Shroud. She took him in and raised him as if he was her own, fed him, clothed him, even cared for him. While she may seem cold to others, never removing the mask and shades, she was a caring adoptive mother who raised him after his real parents died. Heck, she even taught him how to fight when he was 16, and that was a year ago. If anything, he saw her as a new mother, even if she could not truly take the place of his real parents. His phone began to ring as he looked to see it was none other than the woman who saved him, Shroud. Seems she was calling him back home for today. Ever since that day, he was always with her and even called her mom. "Guess I should go," he murmured softly as he stood up from his spot and placed his guitar case over his back. While the park and a few other places in the city were his comfort zones, he would always go back home after the day ends. "You're so cool," one girl called out, earning his attention. Glancing over his shoulder, he noticed the person who said it. It was a young girl wearing an academy uniform and smiling brightly. She had short light brown hair with a hair clip on one of her bangs and caramel eyes as she walked over. "You're just as good as Zwei Wings." Silence reigned over him for a moment, her words absorbed to his mind. He wasn't that social after what happened, but something in his mind was telling him to not be cruel and respond to her comment. So, he followed that and turned around slightly to maintain eye contact. "It's nothing really," he shrugged. It was true too, he simply played music just to provide a positive atmosphere to his surroundings. "Nothing? I bet you're going to become one of the best singers of the world, just like Zwei Wings." She beamed out. He stared at the young girl before he chuckled. "The only thing I care about is to provide a sense of peace for their hearts. I play music just for that. And I think you're doing great." She smiled. "I'm Hibiki. Tachibana Hibiki. Enrique." He nodded before facing forward. "Anyways, I should go now. It was nice talking to you." With his parting words, he walked away from her. "Mott." The raven-haired teen stopped before glancing back at her once more. "Will you be coming back to the park?" He was silent for a moment, but something in the back of his mind was telling him to respond. So, he chose to follow it. "It's one of the places I often play my music because of the surroundings." He nodded. "Why you ask?" "'Cause I want to hear you sing some more." She smiled. The older teen stared at her for a moment before saying, "Sure, why not?" Hibiki's eyes were filled with excitement before she cheered while Enrique walked away, a small smile gracing his lips. It was good to see someone have a peaceful heart in the dark place. Meanwhile, in the sky, a helicopter was seen soaring through the air, heading somewhere. It was surrounded by a few others, showing it must be very important cargo if it had this level of security. Inside was a few soldiers, and one scientist who looked worried as he clutched onto a briefcase. "Why, you're sure about this? They don't know I'm here, right?" he asked them. "We will make sure they won't go after you, sir. If you say that this thing can help us stop the noise, then we have to get you to safety." "Aye, indeed. But that's not what I'm worried about. It's really dash." Suddenly a blast of electricity shot through one of the helicopters, destroying it while others knew what was going on. "We can't let them get their hands on these. They already defiled enough as it is," the passenger shouted. Another blast of lightning, almost like from a railgun, nearly hit them but dodged much to their relief, but one of the other aircraft was affected by the attack, exploding. However, the passenger knew very well who was responsible for the attack. Weather. "He's here." The scientist gulped with fear. One of the soldiers looked out but noticed something on the ground, staring at them as it laughed before it began to conduct another bolt of electricity, unleashing it towards the main helicopter. "Brace yourselves," the pilot shouted as the ball of concentrated electricity hits the aircraft. The impact caused the helicopter to explode. The strange flash drives from the helicopter flew all around the city due to the explosion, scattered from their sights. The briefcase, however, fell into the water before floating back up, drifting through the current, heading to who knows where. Enrique kneeled down to the makeshift grave he made for his real parents. He placed a small rose onto it, his eyes showing nothing but emptiness. The area he was at wasn't that far from the park, the light barely showing through the tree he was under, staring at the two graves he made for them. The river's current and the subtle sound of birds made it peaceful. "Hey, you guys! I'm back again," he said to the grave. "Today's my 17th birthday, can you believe it?" He looks at the makeshift grave. It has been 2 years as well since that day, but Shroud has been taking good care of me. She's mysterious but in a cool way. And she has been very kind to me like always. She may be cold, but she is doing what is best to help. The sound of the water was the only sound he heard, as the teen lowered his head, gripping the necklace around his neck. The necklace that his biological mother wore. I miss you guys a lot. I wish I could have done something to save you. I hope you are watching over me. The young man sighed as he gazes at the river. He then saw something drifting along the current. Curious, he went over to see what it was. It looked like a briefcase. He waded through the water, reaching for the briefcase before it was washed away and put out of his reach. Grabbing the handle, he lifted it up. Who'd throw away a perfectly good briefcase? He wondered out loud. He considered bringing it to the police. Maybe someone was looking for it. But his curiosity got the better of him. He wanted to see what was inside. Flipping the panels, he unlocked the case before opening it to see the items. Inside the briefcase was strangely a white flash drive with the letter E. Included with the flash drive was a technological buckle with the right side having a red slot as if something was meant to be placed into it. Looking at the flash drive, he plucks it out the case to examine it. This is a weird flash drive, he commented. The E on the flash drive seemed to spark and flash in his hand. He recoiled and dropped it. Whoa! He didn't know what just happened, but it surprised him for sure. That was weird. He kneeled down and gently poked it before picking it back up, unsure what that feeling was and debating if it was a static shock. Either way, he looked at it and the odd buckle as he searched through it before he found something. There was an instruction manual included in the briefcase. He flipped the pages and to his surprise, the device was designed for combat. It was a weapon. Looking at the flash drive once more, he noticed small words on the label. Eternal. He read. It was very odd, to say the least, and it confuses him. Just what did it do? Suddenly, he heard sirens around the park, warning everyone of the emergency. He even noticed black dust raining down, making him realize what it meant. Flashbacks and images of the event clouded his mind as the faces of the people, the children, his parents appeared in his eyes as he screams and kneels to the ground in fear, his body shaking in terror. In moments, noise soon began to take shape and form. As he was in fear, the device was glowing softly in his hand. No more fear. Only anger. At the sight of the noise, his fear came up but was suddenly and quickly squashed by anger. Anger and hatred. The noise had taken his parents from him 2 years ago. He wanted them to pay, to avenge his parents. 2 years ago he lacked the power to do so. Not anymore. If this flash drive was a weapon, then he would use it. Following the instructions from the manual, he put the device on his waist as a silver belt strapped it on. Looking at the device, he slowly placed his thumb on the button before he pressed the Gaia memory. Eternal! He closed his eyes as he focused on what to do. He placed it into the lost driver and to the right. Eternal! The music of the device played as he began to be covered in the armor. He was now wearing a white bodysuit, with white armor on him with the design of red flames that reaches from the forearms to his hands. His helmet resembled somewhat of an owl with a trident-like horn on the helmet with a red gem on the center point along with yellow owl-like eyes. Either confused or surprised at his transformation. Suddenly, he felt pain coursing through his head, his eyes widening as he gripped his head, confusing the noises further. It was like something was affecting his mind, telling him many things as it was driving him further and further, ordering him, persuading him, screaming at him to eliminate the enemy. Send them to hell. Punish them for their sins. Once the pain stopped, he lowered his arms before raising his head to look at the noise with sudden hatred and rage. He unconsciously thrust his arm out before giving them a thumb down. It's time to send you to hell, he declared in hatred. The noise lunged at him, but he wasn't letting it as he jumps back from the attack. His reflexes were enhanced and he could feel his body coursing with incredible power. It felt like a rush, his adrenaline pushing him further and the back of his mind screaming at him to deal with the pests. And that is what he will do. He will destroy them all. Every single 1. Red flames encased his right fist and he drove it into the nearest noise. It exploded from the hit. Raising his right leg, the same red flames encased his foot and he smashed it into a nearby noise. Come on, you bastards. Let me send you all to hell. They seemed unnerved, but they chose to attack the fighter who felt a need to crush them under his feet, crush them till they are all gone. Bring it! He challenged before he lunged at them with his ignited fists and feet, incinerating them into ashes. The brutality he displayed was merciless as each monster was struck down into oblivion. He buried his fist into another before he pulled his fist back and kicked it far from him, becoming nothing but ashes. Seeing the first group gone, he cracked his knuckles and faced the last one. All right. He then brought out a silver tactical blade with an empty slot. Who's next? The response he got was the noise all targeting him. He lodged the blade into the first noise's chest before ripping it out and stabbed it again, destroying it before he lunged at another, killing it mercilessly. Taking notice of the slot in his blade, he wanted to see what it can bring. He took the flash drive out of his belt and slotted it into the grip of the tactical blade.
Eternal Maximum Drive!
Intense red flames encased the blade and he swung. Arches of fire burst forth. Meanwhile, at an unknown location, alarms were going off as people were busy typing away on the computers, trying to get footage of where the noises were attacking. A tall and muscular man with golden eyes, red hair, and a goatee watched the monitors. His choice of wear was a red dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up and a pink tie with its end tucked into his left breast pocket, light beige slacks, and black and blue athletic shoes. This was Genjuro Kazunari. Genjuro grimaced, knowing that they couldn't do anything to stop the noises except watch as the noises destroy and harm anything in their way. Sir, we have the footage and we are uploading it right now. One of the people stated. What do you suppose we do, Genjuro? One of the members asked. There's nothing we can do, Genjuro said, regrettably. Tsubasa is still not back from her mission after that Gungnir incident with that girl, and until then, we're practically sitting ducks for the noises. Sir, we are putting up the footage on screen now. One of the staff members spoke. Genjuro and others looked up at the screen to see something they or anyone else was not expecting. It was a white armored fighter who was actually doing some damage to the noises. Who is that? The woman asked upon seeing the white armored warrior fight the noise with some type of tactical knife. Genjuro and the rest of the staff could not comment as they were too focused on the armored figure fighting the noises. He continued to fight the rest of the noise with each slash he delivers to each one. One of the noises tried to get him, only for the armored team to turn it around and to stab it on the side of its head and forcefully ripped it out. The way he fought was ruthless to the noises, showing no mercy for what they have done to the innocent people and his parents. It was like he was venting out all of his anger towards the enemy. He needed to finish them off and quickly. Suddenly, he noticed a slot on the side of his belt, making him realize what it was meant for. Gripping the blade tightly, he looks at the monsters in fury. Alright, let's end this. He declared as he grabbed the USB device and placed it into the slot on the side of his belt.
Eternal Maximum Drive!
Into the he swoops towards the noise before his kick became a corkscrew kick, hitting them, creating an explosion that incinerated it into nothing. The few noises that were caught in the blast radius were stunned from the attack, allowing the armored team to execute them for the sins they committed. Back at the base, Genjuro and others gasped at what they just witnessed. They all witnessed the warrior's foot being enveloped in flames and burned away all of the remaining noise. They were also surprised with what he said to the noise. Enjoy hell! Was the statement the warrior roared in anger? Just who the heck was that? One of the observers wondered out loud, is this on everyone's mind? Do you think we should find that armored man? The woman who was named Ryoko Sakurai asked. Genjuro continued to observe the man, waiting for him to undo his transformation. A feeling in his gut told him that the man must have used some kind of transformation device to gain that armor of his. Not to mention the ruthlessness he displayed. He showed no mercy to the noise, only a need to kill them as if it was all from built-up rage. A need to exterminate the noise. Should we tell Tsubasa about this? Ryoko asked. Genjuro shook his head. No, not until we know for sure if he's an ally or not. Until then, we need to try and keep a close eye on this guy. When the time is right, we'll make contact with him. Okay. Panting, he looked around making sure there was no more, and sure enough there were no noises in his sight. His mind stabilizes itself and his body slowly relaxed with relief. He was about to undo his transformation until the sound of a girl crying caught his attention. He looked around to find the source, only to see the source hiding behind the car. Well, what do you know? He noticed softly. The little girl looked to be around 5, and when she saw him, she hid again in fear. Hey, I am not gonna hurt you. The noises are gone now, you can come out. He said calmly. Ah, really? The little girl asked. He nodded. I was the one who defeated them. The noises won't hurt you. This causes the girl to look awe at him. Reaching his hand out to her, he said, let me take you to your parents. After carrying her on his back, it was kinda a long walk since they had to close off part of the roads. Despite it, he was still left wondering what he did and just how he was able to stop the noise. Not to mention the device he used. He then noticed police stands, blocking off the road. Are your parents there? He asked. I think so. She answers. That is good enough answer. He walked towards the barrier before noticing 2 people who were talking to the military officials, and he noticed the woman in distress. Mommy! The little girl calling out. He lowered himself down for her to get off his back as she ran to her parents. The sight was nice to see, they were happy that she was okay. Mommy, he is the one who saved me. The little girl pointed at the armored teen. Her parents looked in awe at him as they approached closer to him. Others took notice of him as well. Thank you. The mother said. You're welcome. I was only doing the right thing. He then looks at the girl. You be careful now. And remember to be brave. He leaves the scene to prevent further questions as he quickly made his way to the nearest hiding spot. How do I even deactivate this? He muttered. Seeing the USB device, he remembered how it started, so he removed it from the device and the transformation was undone. Removing the belt, he looks at it in awe. It actually saved him, no, not just saved but made him capable of defeating the noise. However, the odd thing was that he acted different. It felt like he was a whole different person when he used the strange armor. He acted ruthless, angry, even a need to kill all the noise that was in his way. A need of vengeance, a need to kill all the noise until there is nothing left. He shook his head, wanting to know just what the heck happened, especially after what he did. Deciding to call it a day, he made his way back home. He reached to the house as he entered his key and twisted the knob, but the door was flung open and the teen yelped in fright. Standing in the doorway, arms crossed with Shroud. While her mask and shades were on, he could still feel her heated glare before she gripped his ear and dragged him inside. You're in trouble, she said to him, continuing to drag him through the house. What do you mean, Mom? He gulped. You know what you did. She fumed, dragging him towards the library, but, once inside, she pulls in one book as it soon reveals a hidden area. The reveal of the hidden door surprised him as his adoptive mother lead him down the stairway. Once they do, he was greeted with a very large area that was like a base of some sort. Coming to a stop, she turned him around as she reached into his pockets and pulled out the buckle and flash drive. Where did you get this? She asked with a demanding tone, gesturing to the device. I found it, Mom. Enrique answered. I was at the park and there was this briefcase that was drifting, so I picked it up and wanted to know what was inside it, even used it to fight the noise. The masked woman lowered her gaze to the belt and the USB device. She never expected to see the device for a long time. She only knew one person who used the device, but he died. The fact her adoptive son has found the key, a key to plot a way to stop the very people responsible for what happened to her in the past. She may seem like a cold individual, but she cares about her adoptive son. Not to mention, she knew the flash drive reacts when it found someone. And to think her son is actually one of the chosen. I think it is time we start. She said out loud. Huh? Start what? Training. I was hoping to keep you out of my mission, but now you're tied up with it. She said, handing him the devices. Here. These now belong to you. I can't do a thing to remove what was imprinted on you. Imprinted? Yes, but before that. She then turns to a closet nearby as she heads over to grab something before she comes back with some clothes. I want you to use this uniform for the tasks. She handed him clothes. The raven-haired teen was confused but nodded before he went to change into his new set of clothes. He was now black-collared jacket with a symbol on the back of the jacket. The symbol is that of angel wings with a cross, also displayed on the front left side of his jacket. It was unzipped slightly to reveal a white shirt underneath it. Black pants hugged his legs while wearing boots to match the style. /N, imagine the N.E.V.E. are uniform but with a different symbol. These are pretty cool clothes, Enrique said, looking at himself. But, why are you doing this, Mom? The woman was silent before turning around. Because the device you obtained is a lost driver and that flash drive is called a Gaia memory. Lost? Driver? Gaia memory? He repeated. What are they? A Gaia memory is a device that you hold, one of them at least. Each memory contains knowledge of the Earth itself, she explained, surprising him upon the piece of information. He was actually holding onto a device that holds the knowledge of the planet itself. And that belt, the lost driver, initiates the transformation based on the first memory it is connected with. With these, you can transform into a Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider. Yes, Kamen Rider Eternal. Kamen Rider Eternal. He repeated, the title sound fitting for what he became. What is a Kamen Rider? Those who fought against evil, defeating the enemy and saving lives. However, you may have power but remember, you can't save them all. It was true to her words. While people can save others, they can't save them all. The dark and painful reminder still etched in his mind. He bit his lip for a moment in hesitance before relaxing a bit. I understand. One other thing. He felt her gloved hand cup his cheek. Please be careful. I promise, Mom, Enrique nodded. And, thank you. His expression saddened, remembering what today was. While it was his birthday, it was also the day he lost his parents from the noise. He will avenge his parents, and protect people so nobody else would suffer the loss like he had. He was going to send every single noise straight to hell. Also, I was preparing this for you for your birthday. Guess it'll have to be opened sooner. She said, pressing a few keys. The object she presented was a white motorcycle with a blue flame design on the sides while the front having a similar crest to the Eternal helmet and the headlights were a clear color. Guess now I know why I made that crest. She chuckles softly. I also will be acting as your benefactor and supply you the needed items to face what is to approach. She handed him a motorcycle helmet, but the texture from what he felt, it was a little heavy but at the same time quite sturdy. The motorcycle helmet will provide directions, tasks, communication, and locations. Don't fail on the tasks, is that clear? I understand, Mom. He nodded in understanding. Ha! A flash drive? The man noticed. Placing his helmet on the roof of his car, he picks up the device off of his vehicle and noticed it was a red flash drive with the letter and small wording that said XL. It seemed a bit too large and the design and color were certainly odd. Odd. How many gigs does it have? The man questioned, looking at it before pressing the button.
Axel!
The flash drive soon glowed as it floated up. The man groaned as his shoulder soon gained circuitry as the flash drive entered it as his body began to glow and morph. Whatever it was becoming, it was about to spell trouble.